This video is for help in problem A-114. And in this problem, you've been given 3 different sequences, but you've only been given 2 terms of each sequence. Because you've only been given 2 terms, you can't determine whether or not these sequences are arithmetic or geometric. There's just not enough data to tell you so. So in sequence 1, you've got 2 and 6, and then you don't know what else is going to happen. You can ask yourself, is this adding 4? Because 2 plus 4 is 6, so that could be one pattern. Or it could be that you're multiplying by 3. If the pattern was adding 4s, it would be an arithmetic sequence. If it was multiplying by 3s, it would be geometric. In part A of this problem, you're supposed to assume that it's arithmetic, meaning add 4 for each term. And if that's the case, then the sequence would be 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, because you're adding 4. The explicit equation for this would be T of n is equal to negative 2 plus 4n, because what would you add 4 to get 2? You would add negative 2 plus 4 to get the first term. And you're constantly adding 4s, so that's why the plus 4n. So this is the 0th term, if you think of it, the 0th term plus the pattern times n. In part B, you're going to assume that it's geometric, meaning let's multiply by 3s. So we're going to start with 2 and then 6, and we get 2, 6, then 18, 54, 162. These are multiplying by 3s. The explicit equation is, what would you start with, 2/3, multiply it by a 3, and get 2. Well, multiply 2/3 times 3, you get 2. So this is the 0th term, and then this is the pattern multiplying by 3s, and so it's exponential. The next sequence we're going to look at is the sequence 2. I think I called it sequence B, but don't worry about that. So yes, it's sequence B. It started off with 24 and 12. Once again, we don't know, is it arithmetic or geometric? Because look at these numbers, 24 and 12. Arithmetic, what would you do to go from 24 to 12? Well, you'd add negative 12. What about geometric? What would you do to go from 24 to 12 if you had to use multiplication? Well, you could multiply by 1/2. And so we don't know if it's arithmetic or geometric. In part A, we're going to assume that it's arithmetic. We're going to add 12 for every term. So it's 24, 12, 0, negative 12, negative 24, etc. To think about the explicit equation, we say, what would we have to start with to add negative 12 to get this 24? And that would be that we would have to add 36 plus negative 12 to get our first term. So this would be what we would have had to start with to get the first term of 24 by adding negative 12. And here's the pattern, adding negative 12. And so negative 12 times n. For part B, we're going to assume that it's geometric, meaning we're going to multiply by halves. So we've got 24, then half of that is 12, and half of that is 6, and half of that is 3, and half of that is 3 halves. To find the explicit equation, we say, what would we start with that if we multiplied by 1/2 would give us 24? And that would be 48. So the equation, the explicit equation, is going to be T of n equals the 48 we would have started with, and then here's the pattern, multiplying by 1/2. So 1/2 to the n. Those are the explicit equations. I'm not going to do the third sequence. I want you to do that on your own, and we can talk about that in class.